JS Racing. We're in the game.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Drivers, start your printers.
To keep pace with the ever-changing landscape of marketing and advertising, let Clark Print Shop help you spot the trends and keep you in front of the pack with all your color printing needs. From business cards to invitations, menus to mugs, we can print anything you need on paper or your choice of over 3,000 promotional items. Visit www.clarkprintshop.com to browse our online catalog and place your order today, or call us at 276-889-3426. For a limited time, use the code iRacing for 23% off your first purchase. The staff at Clark Print Shop looks forward to handling all your color printing needs.
Walking and Rolling Costumes started when my son Reese was born with cancer.
So when I was 3 years old, I got my first wheelchair.
And he wanted to be Wall-E for Halloween that year. And so I knew you couldn't buy a costume to go on a wheelchair at that time, so I knew I had to build one.
My dad ended up building a Wall-E costume out of a Dell computer box.
When we were all finished, he loved it. We took pictures of it and shared it on social media. So many people started sharing it that we started getting requests from people we didn't know.
In 2015, we decided to build them for other kids because people were asking, hey, can you build them for my kid?
So we started the nonprofit organization, Walking and Rolling Costumes, and we build costumes for kids all over the nation, free of charge to the families.
Saturday Night Racing League is ready to bring flag-to-flag coverage live here on VSPEED. 2.5 mile, 31 degrees of banking, opened back in February 1959. Coming by the lead lap number 1, Jeff Wright by about 0.02 of a second gets that lap led. Across the line, Bailey Turner with 2 tires is going to get the victory. Michael Sturgill is going to steal the win at Kentucky in unbelievable fashion.
Saturday night, pushed by Ryan Carlisle. Bailey Turner on the top. At a turn number 4 they come. That's fun. Turner's getting the push. There goes Cabin for the win. He gets blocked below the line. There's contact, but Bailey Turner will cross the line first.
Live from Michigan International, it is the Saturday Night Racing League presented by M&J Distributors.
Where does Reggie Ortega go? He doesn't dare 4 wide, does he? They're making contact. 24-48. We're 3x3 into turn number 1. There's 5 laps to go.
Jeff Wright's going to benefit from this if he can keep it off the wall.
He went to the middle again. There's no room for it again. That's going to hurt Jeff Wright. Push him up the track. Jeff Wright fades back.
It's over. Jag Klinger's going to claim chase race number 1 from Michigan. Live here tonight on VSPEED. It's the Monster Mile here in Delaware.
Ball hard, no listen. These dry mind, no test. These whip glide like
No, it's a crack. Bailey Turner's crack. The 24 is destroyed in turn 3. Carlisle and Stravado came together.
And Adam Cabin is checked out. It looks like it's all over. The 17 on this new update finds another way to victory lane. The 17 of Adam Cabin is your winner at Dover.
Oh, happy act got nailed.
And he's still side by side somehow with Bailey Turner. It worked out for him. But Josh Adams trying to do it here at Iowa. This would be his second win of the season. Klinger and Turner side by side for a second. It's going to be a battle to the line, but it's Josh Adams taking the win at Iowa.
Here we go, live from Homestead. It's Saturday Night Racing League presented by M&J Distributors, Season 4 finale. They're going to go 3 wide for the top spot. Adams dives it to the inside in 3 and 4. Klinger on the high line. Hero's just trying to hold on to it. Off of turn 4, the final time. Ryan Carlisle is going to find his way to victory lane. Bailey Turner holds on to become the 4th champion of the Saturday Night Racing League. It's the world's fastest short track here in the middle of the country. This racetrack has been tough, but we're on the legacy version of it this week, and week number 9, season number 5. Saturday Night Racing League presented by M&J Distributors is live here tonight on VSPEED from Iowa Speedway. Venue 7/8 of a mile. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper, filling in for co-commentary Logan Santa Threlkeld, filling in for Connor Horn. And Logan, I gotta say, this season has been awesome, but we keep inching our way closer to possibly having back-to-back champion, second-time champion. That is a asterisk. It is unknown here in 4 seasons of Saturday Night Racing.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing how this boils down. Obviously, only 3 races remain after tonight's event. Bailey Turner leading that points battle with a wide margin, 53 points ahead of Jeff Wright. Joshua Banks there, 56 points behind in 3rd. J.R. Shepard, Joseph McWhorter rounding out your top 5. Angelo Fronis, Matt Shanoski, Nick Apiak, Chuck Sweeting, Kenny Kibbe rounding out the top 10. But look at this battle back here at the cut line. Nathan Ferrata holding on to that 16th position, but he does not have much breathing room at all. Ben Laffer, Brandon Wallace, Bryce Calusa, even Eddie Trejo right there, ready to pounce for a top 16 spot.
Yeah, if that 07 can't make it here tonight, he's going to start deep in this field back in 23rd. So that's going to even make it more difficult. This is a track that's notorious for not being able to pass on, and we'll take a look at the track map here at Iowa Speedway. Opened back 2006, and I know that doesn't sound like very long ago, but it's almost been a decade that this 7/8 of a mile oval opened up in the Midwest. And Iowa Speedway with 14 degrees of banking. It's had grip strips, it's had repaves, it's had front row, it's had bottom groove, a little bit of everything here tonight. On the legacy version, we should see a very tough car to handle with this 03 900 horsepower stock car going around this place here tonight. Race analysis up on your screen, 175 laps, pit road speed limit 40 miles per hour, tire sets available at 5. It's going to be a tough pit road to get on and off of. That entry to pit lane is very difficult. 3 green-white checkered attempts, 100% fuel, and we're going to sit somewhere around 80 laps on a tank here tonight. With that, though, it's time to go down to the racetrack and get the grid up on your screen. I have it this time, I promise everybody. Let's put it up on the top with Joseph McWhorter, a 23.751. Seth Hatchell on the racetrack in the number 8. He'll start to the outside, missed it by half a tenth. Row number 1 is stacked. James Lehman and Angelo Horonos will begin in 3rd and 4th position, with AJ Stravano and Dakota Floyd starting 5th and 6th. Go back to 7th with Joshua Banks and Philip Brewer, and then it's your top 10 with Casey Lakatos, Jeff Wright, 2nd in points.
In row number 6, it's the number 6, Josh Adams, starting out next to the 16 of Elliott Butler. Just behind them in P13 is the 98 of J.R. Shepard, lined up next to the 09 of Chad Klinger. Starting out in P15, the 06 of Nick Hapiak next to the 23 of Ray Massey. In 17th, Kenny Kibbe starting out next to the 54 of Bryce Shoemaker. And last but not least, in the top 20, it's the 02 of Hunter Sr. next to the 24 of Bailey Turner.
21st spot goes to Brian Chambliss. Jonathan Smith starting 22nd in the 72. You got a one-time winner there on the cut line with Nathan Ferrata in 23rd. Ryan Carwile starting 24th. Row number 13 with Chuck Sweeting electing not to take a time. Eddie Trejo in 26th. 27th, Chris Hodges in a new paint scheme in the 15. Matt Shanoski starting in 28th. And then your top 30 with Brandon Wallace and Donnie Kite. 4 more cars to talk about. Actually, 2 more cars that actually made the grid. Stephen Davis and Ben Laughter. And that will round out your field here tonight at Iowa. Joseph McWhorter, a champion here at Saturday Night Racing League. He won the 2nd championship overall in Season 2, and 73 car looking to rebound, maybe bring back some of that magic, as he'll have Seth Hatchell on the outside. Here we go for week number 9. Saturday Night Racing League, presented by M&J Distributors, is live in racing. McWhorter leads lap number 1, and we look at this camera pack provided here by Dougie Beard. Beautiful angles all over this racetrack. A little bit out of focus at times, but you know what? There's so many updates coming to iRacing. We got 3-dimensional fencing. We've got grass that flies up from the infield. Damage models have changed. This racetrack has changed. It is going to be tough with the rescan. Seth Hatchell, though, on a race car that probably hates dirty air more than most, he's right on the back bumper for lap 4.
Not afraid to close up that gap and ride right in behind Joseph McWhorter, the number 8 of Seth Hatchell, looking to maybe unsettle that 73 here early in this race. Apply some pressure, let McWhorter make the mistake for you, open up that door. Hatchell closes the gap even more, coming down the backstretch, nearly getting to that back bumper of McWhorter. And he's there now, coming out of turn 4, looking to the inside line, but can't quite do anything with it just yet.
At a peak there for the lead, we've got side-by-side back here with Joshua Banks, Philip Brewer, Casey Lakatos, and Jeff Wright, 2nd in points. We go all the way back to 16th with your points leader, Bailey Turner. That's quite the gap there between Jeff Wright. Talking about almost 8 positions there. Continues to gain, and he'll pass on the inside. Jeff Wright gets around the 44. New paint scheme on that 44 machine. Take a look at that.
Not looking too bad there for Philip Brewer. Hugging in right into that 8th place spot. Just behind the 48 of Jeff Wright. That's not a bad place to be by any means. He's got the 50 of Casey Lakatos just behind, who's being trailed by, well, now the 16 of Elliott Butler, as he's making a pass on Joshua Banks. Early on, around the outside goes the 16. So we see this battle off the back end of Philip Brewer right now. Butler still holding onto that top line, but it's going to cost him on the tires, Bradley.
Yeah, eventually those are going to run out, but that higher line is definitely the faster way around this racetrack, and if you're comfortable with it, you can run out there. There is a bump in turn 1, though. You have to be careful with this car. It's a handful. The suspension, classic. It's a throwback to, you know, the NASCAR that a lot of us grew up with. It was a handful without the bumps, and now we're going around at 190 miles per hour at times. We'll get the telemetry on this car and watch down the backstretch. I bet they get above 185.
Well, like you mentioned, we're talking about a 900 horsepower race car on one of the more worn out surfaces on the iRacing service. So it's just putting those two together can certainly put on quite the show. 10 laps into it, it's starting to already build up to that. We've got our separate packs that are battling for position, but overall, it's a fight throughout the entire field. 10 laps into the race, it typically gets a little single-filed out by now. Not tonight.
Watch it side by side with Ray Massey, J.R. Shepard, Chad Klinger in this mix as well. There's the 98 of Shepard, letting the points leader to the inside, but staying with him. 24 car, not able to clear there out of turn 4. He'll stay at the door coming down the backstretch. Lap 11, still back in 15th for the 24 machine.
Talked about that one race winner that's on the cut line, and Nathan Ferrata already up 10 spots into P13. That 07 on the move, just up ahead of Bailey Turner right now, trying to get off of that cut line tonight. As again, we only have 3 more races until the regular season ends, and it's on to the chase, and it's going to be every bonus point on the table will matter.
Cycle over. Put that schedule up on your screen. Actually, it's ginormous, so let's try this again. There it is. Saturday Night Racing League going to go to Darlington Raceway, Chicagoland, and Martinsville to string out the end of this season. It's on to Kansas for the chase, November 15th, the day after my birthday.
You got Richmond there for the second race of the chase, and then we're going to take it to a super speedway, Talladega, for right in the smack dab middle of the chase, race number 3. That could be anybody's ball game there.
It could be a Logan Threlkeld.
That one. It very well could be. You never know.
Hinting at things that are possible. James Lehman to the outside, second place. Seth Hatchell getting past, falling back 1 spot. You have Angelo Horonis. And Logan, we like to do something in the pre-race. I know we cut it a little bit tight here tonight. But who's your pick for tonight's win?
It's really hard to say. It's been a while since I've been here for these Saturday night races, and I don't quite know how everybody's been performing on these smaller tracks. Again, Iowa only 0.85 miles around this V-shaped oval, but one person you can never count out is AJ Stravato in that 33. I don't know if I want to make that my pick, and you know what? Screw it. We're going with it. It's going to be that 33. AJ Stravato, I think, is going to take that top step of the podium tonight.
It's been a bit of a drought here for AJ Stravato. Quiet season, missed some races, had some problems. Back here in week number 9. Started in 5th, up 1 spot. Got around Angelo Horonis just a moment ago. I'm going to throw it out there with the 05 of James Lehman, but he's going to tag the wall coming out of turn 2. I still believe in him. James Lehman has been fast these last 4 weeks. He's been bad fast the last 2. And he has the speed right now based off of practice, based off qualifying. I think the 05, if he can stay out of trouble and not get mixed up on strategy, I think that the 05 will find victory lane.
There's a great possibility of that. James Lehman, a fantastic teammate last year in this Cup Series. You know, I have to say, taking a little time to step away and look at the bigger picture, Lehman's made leaps and bounds of progress since the last time I shared a track with him.
Yeah, he's been really quick, and I know that for a lot of guys, it's been just getting the race to come together. You can be really fast. You can have that short run, long run, whatever you want to call it. But if you get involved in an incident or the strategy mixes up and you get buried in the field, which has happened a lot to previous champions and previous race winners this season, late race cautions have been abysmal to outcomes. And I think The 05 just needs this race to go green to really shine.
The dice to roll in his favor, although a far way away from Las Vegas here tonight. In the land of the corn, Iowa Speedway, it does put on some fine racing out here in the Midwest. It's some of the best racing that you could ask for. As Lehman's going to take a look to the inside, diving down on the inside of the 73. McWhorter holding that middle line. He will be able to pinch that outside exit speed for Lehman, but he's going to stay right on attack. McWhorter way up high on the racetrack in 3 and 4. Lehman hugs that bottom, still can't get the nose out ahead. McWhorter gets a whole lot of speed off the top of 4.
Looking back here in 13th position, side by side with your points leader Josh Adams in 6th, the number 6, and 24 Bailey Turner. Top spot on the points coming into tonight. Josh Adams had a rough race last week. Man, I gotta say that based off of what we saw last week, Logan, I know you're catching up with things, but Kentucky was not kind to the 6.
I think I heard a little bit about that in the post-race interviews, and just talking to some of the drivers throughout the week. And I have to agree, the 6 of Josh Adams, bad luck fell on his way. But, you know, it's not looking too bad tonight. Holding down right now in that 13th spot. You're in a really good position here for these longer runs. Again, we might see about 80 laps on the fuel run to start this race out. Not quite enough to make it halfway, but you'll have some of those drivers that are really good at the fuel saving strategy. One of those that comes to mind, Seth Hatchell, always on top of the game when it comes to fuel strategies. And if it turns out to being one of those types of races where it comes down to who's got enough left in the tank, the 8 would be on the top of my list, as well as the 24 of Bailey Turner.
Well, your original pick in the 33 of Servato is caught up to the back of Seth Hatchell. Angelo Horonis following him through the top 5 within 1.5 seconds of each other. 1.2 back to Horonis in 5th. Jeff Wright on the move as well, up 4 positions. Biggest mover still, Nathan Ferrata, up 12, but he has company behind him, 24, and the 6 very tight off of turn 2.
Close racing back here, just outside of the top 10. There it is. Lakatos up on the top line. Adams stuck in the middle, gets a little loose. Bailey Turner backs out of it from the bottom. Adams gets a good run into turn 1. He will get clear of Lakatos as well as Bailey Turner now trying to work the bottom line. Sticks it there just good enough to get the nose out ahead, but not entirely clear of the 50 just yet. There goes Joshua Banks on the attack for that 9th position as well, just up ahead of this. So this mid-pack battle proving to be fierce right now.
9th position for Banks as we come off of turn 2, and watching that 35 pick him up, trying to get back to 7th position where he started this race. We have onboard telemetry and driver cameras with the 35. Saturday Night Racing League Cup Series action presented by M&J Distributors. Here's the guy with the Matco Tools 35.
Joshua Banks is always one of those drivers you expect to see at least somewhere in the top 10, if not the top 5 or a podium spot by the end of the race. 35 proving consistency is key week after week when you see him finishing in those top 3 positions. See what he can do here from this 9th spot, trying to recover back to his original starting position of P7. It's not proving to be easy. A little bit of dirty air just up ahead. It really causes this race car to fight with you. You've mentioned it multiple times. These Gen 4 cars just do not like dirty air by any means whatsoever.
Yeah, and with the update, they took away the draft, and that kind of made it even harder because you used to be able to kind of draft, pull up to somebody just by being in their wake on the straightaways. You kind of wanted that dirty air on the straight stretches, and now it's counterproductive to be behind someone at all.
still try to time out those runs just right, but it is few and far between when you see it executed successfully. Back up here around this top 3 position, AJ Stravato has gotten around Seth Hatchell. He's back to now 5th place as the 29 was able to get around the outside as well. 33 holding down 3rd place right now, up 2 spots from P5, starting this race 33 laps ago. Joseph McWhorter has held on to the lead and not looked back. However, it's not been too easy for him by any means. Pressure has been applied pretty well the entire time since the green flag drop. It was originally by the 8 of Seth Hatchell, now being applied by the 05 of James Lehman. You have to wonder if the 05 of Lehman has enough to get around McWhorter here in the early runnings, or if he even wants to. It could be a little bit of strategy at play to let McWhorter run down that fuel cell a little bit further than the 05. At the moment, I'm going to say it's likely not. AJ Stravato shoots down to the bottom as Lehman hugs it up to the wall in 3 and 4. Again, you just can't get the speed that you need to complete a pass off the bottom of the corners here at Iowa.
33 car takes it to the bottom. 05 still on that middle to high line. Coming off the corner, 33 focused in the camera, and 3-way battle for the lead. I think the 33 might have something for Lehman.
Lehman's getting extremely close to the wall on the entry of 3. Kind of holding it up there a little bit higher. I don't know if he made contact with the wall at all, but Stravato's going to dive it down to the bottom pretty hard into turn 1. Losing that exit speed, but he's gaining on these top 2 drivers each time he runs the bottom line. Also saving tires just enough here. Beautiful shot here from the roof of the 33. You can see just how much that gap closes mid-corner and then opens right back up as these drivers ahead of him get the speed that they need using that top line.
A shout out to Walking and Rolling Costumes, Clark Print Shop. Of course, iRacing for building the service that we race upon. 29 Graphics, a part of this as well, with Juicy Spider Studios. Everybody that helps make this possible. McWhorter holding on to the top position. Led every single lap so far. It is not a give me by any means here.
Not by any means. The 73 still feeling the pressure from James Lehman. 0.15 seconds behind. The gap is only about a car length between the two. Lehman gets a little bit of steam in the middle of 1 and 2, gets to the outside momentarily, but has to wheel it back up to not run up into the wall on corner exit. It's interesting to see. It appears that McWhorter might be trying to stay a little bit higher on the track to keep Lehman behind, maybe apply some of that dirty air on the front left of the nose of the 05. It's proving effective right now, whatever it is, as McWhorter continues to just tick away some laps at the top of the field.
I think James Lehman is starting to see this accordion come back together. You've got a lot of cars outside the top 3 starting to get back into this mix with Angelo Horonas, Jeff Wright. You can put Philip Brewer in there as well in the 44. On board with that machine.
Currently running in P6. You can see all the lines that are being used differently from our top 5 just ahead of him. McWhorter running that kind of modified high middle line. You got Lehman that's keeping it close up to the wall. AJ Stravato, Angelo Horonas, they keep diving it down to the bottom. Jeff Wright seems to be mixing it up from side to side of the track in turns 1 and 2. He likes the bottom in turns 3 and 4. It seems to be the 48 on the top of the track. He's going to make me eat my words on that one, though, as he entered way lower than Angelo Horonas down into turn 3.
Dakota Floyd and Seth Hatchell side by side, 57 to the outside for 7th position. Floyd going to try to clear out of turn 2. He will do so down the backstretch.
That camera shot, you can see it just up ahead. AJ Stravato was to the inside of James Lehman coming out of turn number 2. He gets the nose ahead here on the exit of turn 4.
They're loose. Caution's
there's a
out.
Track.
Stephen Davis on the backstretch.
Just a little over midway through this first fuel run. That'll certainly shake up the fuel strategy here. It is now 100% a two-stop race. Expect these drivers to bring it down pit road, top off on fuel and tires as we take it back to the VSPEED instant replay. The Nesquik, number 60, loose on the front stretch. Keeps it on the bottom on the entry of 1 and 2. See the back end start getting bounced around there. Small bump on the bottom and a little bit of assistance there as he got loose coming out of turn number 2. 75.
Sweeting.
Just making the slightest bit of contact to the left rear. We'll get an onboard here with Sweeting.
Hard to react to that.
Yeah,
60 was
barely
already
looked like
loose.
Davis was pretty well saved at that point even.
That brings everybody down pit road here on lap 45. This is about halfway through the window of these pit stops. Angelo Horonis misses his box. He's going to end up losing a position or two out of this. Watching on pit exit. 50 and Laconis out first.
Laconis with an alternate strategy. Actually, rather misses his box.
He missed his box entirely.
Pit lane. So, I mean, that's not the way that you want it to go. You're not even going to get the lap led, as Laconis will have to bring it down back through the pits and get some fresh tires underneath that machine. It's not going to hold up well.
James Lehman, that's the talk of the town right now, as the 73 McWhorter had a horrible pit stop. Speeding on pit road, I think, for the 73.
For the 73. Man, what a way to just hand it to somebody else. Not sure what happened to McWhorter. I haven't seen anything on a black flag for the 73, but he's giving way to the rest of the field.
Watch the exit of pit road, and there's Laconis going out after missing the stall. I find it hard to believe that McWhorter would get a speeding penalty. Something happened here with the 73, and I don't know what it is. Laconis back down.
Black flag coming from the race control. 73 certainly didn't have enough room to exceed that pit road speed. I believe 55 miles an hour here at Iowa, rather 40 miles an hour. But coming out of that first pit stall, that's just, it's impossible.
Yeah, I don't know what happened here to McWhorter, but he's going to start at the tail end with Philip Brewer, who also lost a lot of positions. This is surreal. I don't know how to explain this part. All I know is that James Lehman, my pick here tonight, is up top.
The 05 of Lehman gets one handed to him, but you got to keep an eye on that inside row, the 48. Jeff Wright, he's up 8 positions now from P10 to P2. Always a contender here on these Saturday nights as well. So it's going to be a battle. Once we get this green flag drop, the pace car will come off into the Geico restart zone. We go. Green flag drops and away. James Lehman goes from the top lane. Cross that checkered line. See a couple of the drivers move up from the bottom to the top. Don't want to make that switch before you hit that checkered line, but working out right now for Lehman as he makes contact with the wall out of turn 2. Doesn't slow him up enough. He'll come back around to finally lead a lap here in tonight's race, but watch out. Those cold tires are getting loose on the bottom.
Jeff Wright going to try to take advantage of that immediately. Lehman probably used to having dirty air on the front end of that car, and the front has a little bit more bite. He's getting loose. Sideways, out of turn 2. Jeff Wright to the inside, a lap 49.
Will the fresher tires prevail from the bottom line? Coming out side by side out of turn 4. Lehman gets the advantage at the line. I think if this happens one more time through turn 2, as it will, this will be a lot more of a challenge down into turn 3. Actually, Lehman able to get some separation before hitting turn 3. Wright still using the bottom line. Angelo Horonas, AJ Stravato will follow suit. Lehman, the only one in the top 5, using the top lane.
Back here to Stravato, left front camera on this machine, and watching him battle. He's been committed to this bottom line, Logan. Watch a lot of cars down here on the inside. Seems like they're saving tires in the long run. I think your pick's going to be up there in the mix for the lead in just a moment.
33 of Stravato in that very classic waste management paint scheme that you've seen from seasons and seasons on top of seasons of running this paint scheme, no matter what car it is. Just synonymous with the name Stravato at this point.
Kenny Kibbe, Ray Massey for just outside the top 10, 11th position, 23 on the outside of the 14. Coming out of turn 4, early on the brakes on the outside line. Can the 23 clear, Kibbe? Kibbe's going to push up the racetrack a little bit here. Maybe contact with the wall. 23 was very close there.
Ray Massey always finding speed somewhere on the track, using that middle line on the outside of Kenny Kibbe. Hits the nose just ahead at the stripe. Battle in the midfield just doesn't go away. This is for P11 right now, just outside of the top 10. 6 of Josh Adams liking what he's seeing in the rearview mirror. He has to focus on his own race. He's got quite a few positions to gain if he wants to try to be in that top 3 competition. We have a whole lot of race to go still yet. 120 laps still on the board.
Jeff Wright ended up making a mistake there and fell back almost 7/8 tenths of a second. Lehman pulls away.
Clean Air now playing favorites for the 0-5. Jeff Wright will have the 29 of Angelo Horonas and the 33 of Stravato, ready to capitalize if yet another mistake gets made. Much cleaner down through 1 and 2. Just mere inches off of that wall, screaming out of the corner at 130 plus miles an hour.
These cars getting up to around 155 before they hit the entry. I think I said 185 earlier. I don't know where we were.
Certainly not Atlanta. We are on the opposite side of the United States here. Quite a bit distance there between the two. That'd be speeds that you'd see down there, though.
We've got plenty of racing that will go over that, and Darlington notorious for hitting close to 180 miles per hour. That's coming up next week. The egg-shaped oval. Track too tough to tame. Week number 10 of the season. With only 3.5 races left, roughly, Logan, we talked about the points. We talked about Bailey Turner and his rough start back in 20th position. Turner's up to 7th now.
You cannot keep that 24 out of the conversation for podium finishes or race wins. Certainly trying to make the best of what was a bad start for him. Up 13 spots now. Only one other driver has moved up more spots than he has, and that's an Nathan Fraud of the 07, just ahead, up 17 from 23rd.
.35 of Banks, trying to get back to where he started this race. Currently running in 8th position. Chad Klinger in the 09. Another one of those cars that, you know what? I'm just going to come out and say it. This guy's fast. He's just not had the luck. And I think some of it probably stems from his aggression earlier in previous seasons. This year, he's been a lot more conserved. Currently running in 9th. He's a driver to deal with every place we go to now.
He's in a great spot right here, watching a battle just ahead of him between Bailey Turner and Joshua Banks as Banks flips the wall coming across the front stretch into turn 1. But if either of these drivers get tangled up with one another, he's got plenty of room to react to it and navigate the wreck safely. But you know, the 09, like you mentioned, has just been riddled with bad luck in previous seasons, looking to turn it around here. And again, you know, if you're in the top 10 at the midway point of this race, you're not out of the conversation for a race win.
Lehman's lead stretches out to a full second on lap 63. Continuing on with a 73 of Joseph McWhorter, making a mistake somewhere that we can't confirm. But it seemed like an EOL that you would get for a speeding penalty, or maybe a penalty, a black flag at some point here. He's racing his way back through this field. A lot of this field with the 8 of Seth Hatchell, something happened on pit road, and I'm not sure what it was.
Seth Hatchell spent a lot more time in pit road than anybody else in the field. It was 33.4 seconds, so nearly a double pit stop time. Actually, rather, just over a double pit stop time for the 8 machine. Don't know what the reason for that was. Maybe a little bit of damage repaired early on in the race, but I believe that 8 was relatively clean as the 64 just ahead. Ben Lafter gets loose out of turn 2. Hatchell takes the inside lane. He's going to be clear coming out of turn number 4. Lafter in a position where he could shoot back to the inside on the other end of the track.
Oh, made contact! Close call there for the 8. 64 got into the back of him. You see the wiggle on the wheel there.
Calm, cool, and collected for Ben Lafter. That could, it depends on who you are, but that could very well end up being the type of bump that requires a suit change at the end of the race. Joseph McWhorter also gets around, however. Lafter falls back to P20. McWhorter now up into 19.
Oh, Brewer.
Behind.
That was Brewer, and I believe the 26 of Donnie Kite. We got to go back on a replay to see that. Brewer's going to get to the outside. 21 of Eddie Trejo just ahead of him. This happens quickly. 3 wide? Yes.
Just in the middle.
He got it. I mean, he got it.
Just a little love tap from the inside on that left rear quarter panel from Donnie Kite. Luckily, nothing happens from it. That could have been, our second caution of the race, but man, that's got to be an uneasy feeling.
Very close call. 1 caution, 2 lead changes. Weather on the racetrack, haven't talked about that yet, Logan. It's 114 degrees, as if this track wasn't hard enough to drive.
Yeah, it is a cheese grater down in those corners. That 14 degrees of banking, if you slide up through that corner, you're roasting that front right tire. And 113, 114 degree track surface temperature doesn't help at all. The one thing that does help is all the clean air that James Lehman has on the nose of the 05 right now, holding on to just 0.8 of a second over Jeff Wright. It's been consistently sitting at 8 to 9 tenths of a second for about 10 to 15 laps here since taking that green flag drop on our first restart of the night. You can see on board with Lehman just how much he is having to wheel that thing already early on in this run.
Putting the wheels on it, putting the wheels in it. 05 keeping that lead, but last time by, it was about 1/10 of a second lost. Jeff Wright, a 24.904. James Lehman, a 24.965. 0.06 of a second shaved off. Another time by, Lehman slower, 25 seconds, 0.123. Jeff Wright is on the way.
0.3 of a second difference. That 0.8 of a second gap has rapidly dropped to less than a half second. right on pace to make a move here within a couple laps. James Lehman needs to minimize these mistakes. The one thing that he will have in that back pocket is the ability to put dirty air on the nose of Jeff Wright. Ray Massey further back in the pack is attacking the 0-2 of Hunter Sr. stuck on the inside line. Ray Massey working around the outside with Kenny Kibbe in suit. Look at the gap though behind Jeff Wright back to AJ Stravado for these top two. If these two do get side-by-side battling, they've got a lot of room that they can work with before they feel threatened by that 33 of AJ Stravado now in a podium spot. Across the top of the oval here, off the back end of James Lehman. Just watching that 48 turn some laps, trying to decide where the grip is on this rough surface of Iowa Speedway. Still holding on now 0.6 of a second, so Lehman finding some pace to get away from Jeff Wright. AJ Stravado closed that gap up from about a second behind Wright to just 0.7 of a second. So the accordion effect almost in play here now. As Lehman losing pace is bothering the 48 of Jeff Wright and allowing Stravado and Cronus, Floyd, to start working their way back into the picture.
James Lehman holding on to the lead. AJ Stravado about 0.7 back from Jeff Wright, Angela Horonis, Dakota Floyd into the top 5, and side by side just behind that, 24 Bailey Turner trying to get around to Nathan Ferrata.
Still trying to settle who will be the biggest mover of the race. 17 positions gained for Ferrata, 13 positions gained for Turner. Again, that 07 in a position right now where these top 5 position spot race result finishes, however you want to say it, are going to be oh so important with only 3 races after this one in the regular season. Turner had a slight advantage down in 3 and 4. Nathan Ferrata running that top line. 24 still sticking to that apron, just above it rather, keeping pace with Ferrata as he is now completely clear the 07 on the bottom of 3 and 4. He'll slide up in front, and for the first time tonight, Bailey Turner is able to get out and stay out ahead of the 07.
And the 35 now going to look to the inside for 8th position. Chad Klinger just behind this, but not a factor right now. That 8th position. Joshua Banks down to the bottom. Side by side coming off of turn 4. And Banks looking to gain back to where he started this race. It's been a long road to get here.
That it has. Finally back to that 7th spot for the 35. He's not going to look back now. It's all about taking it to the very end from here.
So continuing to hold the bottom of the racetrack, Jeff Wright took over the lead from James Lehman. We got to go back on an instant replay to take a look at this. Here's the side-by-side battle. 05-48. He kept the nose just enough down the backstretch to get to the inside in 3 and 4. What a drive off. We haven't seen that yet today, Logan, that somebody actually completes a pass down low.
It's been few and far between. I think the track temperature coming down yet another few degrees here is starting to play a factor in who can get the grip on the bottom, and it looks like James Lehman was a little loose coming off of turn 2. That opened the door wide open for Jeff Wright. Now AJ Stravado will get to the inside. Will he be able to get the same drive off the corner? And no, nearly makes contact with the 05 as James Lehman into the wall out of turn 2. Slows him up enough to allow the 33 around for P2.
It's Dakota Floyd under fire for the top 5 with the 24 of Bailey Turner looking low. Halfway through this race, Logan, and just past that halfway mark, it's been phenomenal to watch so far. One caution. 3 lead changes. I think it's time to maybe take them a little bit down trackside. Hear the sights and sounds as we watch a battle for 5th position with Angela Horonis and Bailey Turner. Dakota Floyd, let's get loud. Find that volume knob. Presented by FireStorm Racing. Presented by FireStorm Racing. Jeff Wright still your leader with AJ Stravano, 8, and Bailey Turner back in 3rd position now. Turner gets around. He's pulling Joshua Banks around this racetrack. It's that rabbit and the dog kind of chase that we've seen all season long for Banks.
And the battle between the 24 and the 35 doesn't seem to go away no matter what car you put these two in. They will find each other on the track and they will trade blow for blow as if it was a professional boxing match. It's proving no differently here tonight. Bailey Turner has the advantage now, up 17 positions to P3. Joshua Banks up 3 positions. As he finally was able to recover back to that 7th place spot where he started, moving his way up the grid a little bit. During that Get Loud segment, Josh Adams brought it down pit lane. He's the only driver in the field now who I think will be good to that checkered flag. So keep an eye on the 6, as he might have enough in the tank to take it to the end.
He's got those fresher tires looking to the inside of Eddie Trejo and Bryce Shoemaker in the 54. Adams in a better situation initially, but you got to wonder how much is that short cut on the pit road going to affect him when we get down to around 15, 20 to go. I think Adams will probably benefit to a top 10. Dakota Floyd, James Lehman, side by side. Across the line for 5th.
The 05 of Lehman up on the high line, the 57 of Floyd on the bottom line. Teammates here as they work their way around the track, so communication will be key between those two and make sure they don't get crossed up over one another. As Floyd gets the better run off the bottom of 3 and 4, finally clearing James Lehman, who is slowly fading out of that battle in the top 3. And you have to wonder if the 05 will be able to hold it together here as Nathan Ferrata is all over that back bumper, trying to make way, Bradley.
We'll take a quick break here on VSPEED. About 25-30 laps to pit road. You are watching the Saturday Night Racing League presented by M&J Distributors and live on VSPEED. When we come back, the second half of this race.
JS Racing. We're in the game.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Drivers, start your printers.
To keep pace with the ever-changing landscape of marketing and advertising, let Clark Print Shop help you spot the trends and keep you in front of the pack with all your color printing needs. From business cards to invitations, menus to mugs, we can print anything you need on paper or your choice of over 3,000 promotional items. Visit www.clarkprintshop.com to browse our online catalog and place your order today, or call us at 276-889-3426. For a limited time, use the code iRacing for 23% off your first purchase. The staff at Clark Print Shop looks forward to handling all your color printing needs.
Walking and Rolling Costumes started when my son Reese was born with cancer.
So when I was 3 years old, I got my first wheelchair.
And he wanted to be Wall-E for Halloween that year. And so I knew you couldn't buy a costume to go on a wheelchair at that time, so I knew I had to build one.
My dad ended up building a Wall-E costume out of a Dell computer box.
When we were all finished, he loved it. We took pictures of it and shared it on social media. So many people started sharing it that we started getting requests from people we didn't know.
In 2015, we decided to build them for other kids because people were asking, hey, can you build them for my kid?
So we started the nonprofit organization, Walking and Rolling Costumes, and we build costumes for kids all over the nation, free of charge to the families.
JS Racing. We're in the game.
Welcome back live here from Iowa Speedway, watching side by side. James Lehman brought it down pit road. You had Josh Adams bring it into the pit lane a little bit earlier. Philip Brewer now down in the 44. Pit stops commence. Thought we were going to go a full 80 laps, but I think some of these drivers are trying to split that run in half.
Yeah, you have to be prepared for that potential of a yellow flag too. You don't want to run it out too long and find yourself caught out and being caught up by drivers on fresher tires, but at the same time, you don't want to cut it out too short. Go a lap down and have that yellow flag come out, puts you well behind the curve. Right now, it's Jeff Wright controlling the lead. AJ Stravato holds down P2. Bailey Turner rounds out the top 3 after quite the drive. 17th position still for the 24 machine. Nathan Ferrata now up 18 spots, holding down P5. And you got a little bit of movement in the middle of the field. Ben Laughter in 16th, started in 32nd, made his way up through half the field. He has the most potential tonight to be the biggest mover of the race.
Back here in 16th position right now. Donnie Kite just ahead of that. Then you have Matt Shinovsky, Christopher Hodges. And we never got a look at this 15 car. I think this is a prime opportunity. Let's take a look at this beautiful paint scheme.
I saw that paint scheme posted in the SNR Discord earlier today. Man, talk about unique. It's very eye-catching on that 15. Frizzy owns, I believe if I recall correctly, talking to Christopher Hodges, that's a Whatnot live stream account.
I don't know much about Whatnot, but I can tell you this. YouTube, Twitch, maybe we get on Whatnot. Why not?
I mean, makes sense. If it's available, why not? Whatnot.
Why not? Watching more of these cars come down pit road. Here's the 02 of Hunter Sr. Looks like the 71 of Ryan Carwile and Donnie Kite just leaving for service. We also have the 60 machine exiting pit road now of Stephen Davis. Unfortunately, 8 laps down as he'll exit the pits. Bailey Turner takes over the lead as the 48 of Jeff Wright relinquished the lead. He just came off of pit road, and he'll cycle out with about 60 laps to go. Jeff Wright looking really good here in the closing laps.
I like to call the slight undercut from your competition. We'll have to see how it pans out here. Again, keep in mind that yellow flag can fly at any time, especially mid-pit cycle when we have drivers that are on older tires mixed in with the fresher tires. Things can get hairy really fast. That 99 right now, that's a paint scheme that I'm really liking. Big fan of the Dr. Pepper paint scheme there, Brandon Wallace.
Watching some side-by-side. That's the 9 going by on the inside. Brian Chambliss. 1 lap down right now. 26th position, but feeling like a rocket ship. Bryce Shoemaker down to pit lane. There's the 64 side by side. Battle off a pit road between these two. '54 going to take the inside. You got it.
Prevails on pit road, but not quite as much on the track. We'll cycle out just ahead of the 64. Tucks in right behind the 06 of Nick Hapiak. Currently running in the top 3 as this pit cycle takes effect. More drivers bringing it down. The 35 of Joshua Banks. He is on his way out of pit road right now. He will cycle somewhere out here in the back half of the top 20. Battling with Chad Klinger, Hunter Sr. behind, Joseph McWhorter just up ahead. McWhorter pit 17 laps ago, so another driver going for that slight undercut. He's got to try something after that issue coming out of the pit lane, or coming down pit lane rather, for our one and only pit cycle before this. under yellow flag conditions. 73 of McWhorter started on the pole, fell back to about 26th position, I believe it was. He's worked his way back up now to 13th.
24 down pit road now. Now hand the lead over to Kenny Kibbe in the 14. Nick Hapiak 1.3 seconds back, battling for second position with J.R. Shepard. Still have about the top 5 here. Brandon Wallace now making a pass on position, 5th up to 1st. Left to pit in this one. I think for these guys, it's run it out of fuel and pray for a caution.
And you can take a look now as Jeff Wright in the 48 holds on to that sixth spot. So once our top 5 do finally bring it down pit road, the lead will be handed right back over to Jeff Wright. James Lehman back in the mix here as well, but you know, a 10-lap difference rather between Wright and Lehman. Dakota Floyd with a 5-lap advantage over Lehman. So we've got a whole slurry of different strategies here that'll fold out in the top 10 once our top 5 bring it down.
And Dakota Floyd going a little bit longer and coming out of pit road within arm's reach now of James Lehman. 5-lap advantage on tires. Dakota Floyd could cycle out to be a top 3 finisher before this is all said and done. Josh Adams, he undercut majorly, and now he's starting to suffer on the other side of things. AJ Stravado going to be in the mix in a moment.
Somebody's pit crews might be due for a bonus tonight. None of these drivers electing to take just 2 tires. We've got some seriously fast pit box times. Angelo Rona's just right at a 14-second stop. That's a half-second faster than Jeff Wright. The fuel coming into play there, but you're spending about 13.5 seconds or so just getting the tires changed. So maybe it came down to the 29. Just taking a little less fuel. It's uncertain at the moment as the 06 of Nick Hapiak will finally bring it down pit lane. Out of the 3rd position right now, Kenny Kibbe, J.R. Smith, Donnie Kite will keep turning laps at Iowa. Brandon Wallace has lost that spot to Jeff Wright, but will have significantly fresher tires if he continues the run to the end of this fuel cell.
You were watching there with Hapiak coming down pit road and about 50 laps to go. I think he can claw his way back to the top 5, but he's going to fall all the way out of the top 10. Now down and away in 23rd position, back out on the racetrack, 24th. Tough break. That's too long, I think. And again, it goes back to, I think these guys were trying to get a caution and get on the other side, a different strategy, as Kenny Kibbe is going to allow a lot of these cars back on the lead lap. 24 Bailey Turner now going by. 11 cars back on the lead lap. Chad Klinger next in line to do so. He'll take the inside through 3 and 4. Unable to do it there off the exit, but will most likely take it into turn 1. We're talking about almost a full 2 seconds of fall off. What we saw at Charlotte, similar at Iowa.
Well, you mentioned as well the late race cautions that have plagued some of these Saturday night races and completely flipping the script in some cases. One of those drivers I have to keep in mind of here, the 73 of McWhorter, he set the pole the fastest lap in qualifying for a reason. If we restack this field, I feel like he's got a really good chance if he was just to hold on to this position here, even running in the 14th, 15th spot. If he can get on some evenly worn out tires as everybody else, fresh tires rather, I think that 73 has a great chance to make a recovery after having to fall all the way back to the back of the field.
You go up here with Jeff Wright, who, if we don't get a caution, is going to be sitting pretty. He's 4.2 seconds ahead of Dakota Floyd, who's going to be battling with AJ Stravado in just a moment, working with lap traffic in the 15. Chris Hodges, 33 down low. But it goes really deep into when do you pit, what's the right time, and sometimes you're adapting your race to that. If you're deep in this field, you've got nothing to lose, shortcut. Maybe you pick up 5 spots, Logan. We've done it before. We're no strangers to strategy, but when you're in this top 10, you almost have to pit with the guy next to you. At the very least, you got to pit within the next 4 or 5 positions in front of you.
It all comes down to timing, and a lot of these drivers that, you know, extended their fuel run a little bit longer and coming out, you know, 12 laps or 10 laps better than the drivers around them. We see it on display right now as AJ Stravato with a 6-lap advantage over Dakota Floyd just made that pass look easy and immediately puts down a half-second of difference between what will be our second and third place drivers. James Lehman right there behind Dakota Floyd as well, ready to pounce.
Whoa, Donnie Kite almost hit the wall entering pit lane.
Extremely loose. As you mentioned earlier, it is a tough pit road to get into, Bradley.
Watch this. He's going to slide all the way left. There's pit lane.
Kept it under the speed, though. The 26 of Donnie Kite did not pick up a black flag on that entry. Made the pit stall. We'll be right back out on the track. Only one driver remains that needs to pit. That's the 14 of Kitty Kibbe. Josh Adams was our first one to kick things off 45 laps ago. He currently runs in P9.
Kibbe.
It's not looking great for the 6.
Here comes Kibbe down pit lane. Jeff Wright going to come out of turns 3 and 4 and take over that lead. 3-4 seconds ahead of AJ Stravato. Jeff Wright back to the top spot.
Some lap cars ahead of him that he will have to navigate and try to do so quickly and efficiently. It's going to be a tough one here for that 48. If he's getting comfortable with that clean air, it's about to go away very quickly.
With a lead like this, Logan, I think it doesn't matter. I think he can manage his tires, kind of pick and choose when he's going to approach these lap cars. And you've got a 31 now of Matt Shanoski in 23rd position ahead. You also have J.R. Shepard, Seth Hatchell. Some of these guys have fresher tires and will pull away from him as well. I don't think he's going to have as much of a factor as maybe what we originally thought. Shanoski will definitely be in the lap here in a couple laps, but again, Stephen Davis in the 60, he's not going to get in the way. 7 laps down. He's a smart racer. He knows his situation. Jeff Wright's probably going to run away with this one if we stay green. It is just too much of a gap. That's an entire corner from 3 and 4 for Stravato to make up any ground. He should be more worried about Bailey Turner for second.
Yeah, Bailey Turner, again, another driver. He's got 8 laps of advantage over AJ Stravato and Jeff Wright both. So if there's anybody that has the potential to run down that 48 from this 4.5 second gap currently, it would be that 24 of Turner. Now you look a little bit further back in the field, the only other driver that's really kind of in the same boat is Nick Hapiak back in the 06 and 18. He's got 13 laps on this stint. That is about 16 laps over the driver he just made his way around, or rather battling for position, Philip Brewer. So there's a lot of different calls made here tonight. Nathan Ferrata, another driver, is up in the 21 lap range of this current stint. And there it is, Bradley. The yellow flag comes out. The yellow flag. Race caution still stands.
30 laps roughly to go, and that's going to shake everything up, and it's Josh Adams, I believe.
Man, oh man. The number 6 of Adams.
We'll take it back on a replay here. Contact with Nathan Ferrata across the front stretch. That's enough to trigger a yellow. Doesn't put Adams in a bad situation. But let's look at the 07 on board with him.
Adams just didn't quite move up to the wall on corner exit. Tried to pinch that exit of a Nathan Ferrata. That was P8 for the 07, I believe 15 for Adams at the time. It just got right into that left rear quarter panel. That brings out caution number 2 on the night. This could be bad for Nathan Ferrata if he ends up picking up a black flag or post-race penalty. All this effort could be for nothing. So just about the entire field brings it down pit road, aside from our drivers that are scored 1 lap down.
On the way for James Lehman. 05, 2-tire call.
I like that call. It's a dangerous one, but it's one that could very well pull off a race win. So he will be able to jump out ahead of Jeff Wright, right back into the top 3. And under control for the restart could be important for the 05 of James Lehman to hold on to this lead until lap 175.
James Lehman might look like a genius, or this whole race might fall apart with less than 30 to go when we go back green. Perfect opportunity, though. Logan, anybody you want, bring him up here in the broadcast booth. We got to chat with somebody.
Let's see here. I like the idea of talking to Joseph McWhorter, see if we can iron out what happened at that first pit cycle. I don't see the driver of the 73 currently in the Discord, so that throws that idea away. How about another driver? I don't want to jinx some of these guys that are, up here for position.
Curse of the commentator doesn't exist. Yeah, let's bring up AJ Stravato. I think we'd bring up your pick here before we go green.
I'll double down on that potential curse. Let's find Mr. Stravato out here. We have him. AJ Stravato, you got Logan and Bradley up here in the VSPEED booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Well, you've been up here in the battle in the top 5 for quite a while. What's it going to take to get this 33 up into the number 1 spot ahead of Jeff Wright and the 05 of James Lehman?
A good restart. That's really all it takes at this point. Clean air and a good restart.
I would have to agree with you. Anything quickly for 33 of Stravato, Bradley?
That's it, man. Nothing. We're about to go green here. Good luck.
Yep.
AJ Stravato in the 33. And it seems I was moved. Let's try that again with AJ Stravato. Back down to Sad Boys. There he is. Getting ready to go back racing. James Lehman, Jeff Wright on the restart. Lehman out to a great jump. It's not very often I get moved out of my own booth here.
Yeah, it's those cornballs that you put in the seat next to you, taking control of that. But taking control of that race restart, the 05 of Lehman held on to it for about a half a lap. Jeff Wright
he's loose.
Battles around the
2
inside.
tires.
Big time loose.
He's going to lose 2 spots here. He's going to have to hold on. I think 2 tires on this car.
57 of Floyd goes around. And a
09 of Klinger also.
Into turn 1.
That
late race cautions come in plenty, Bradley.
Yeah, they do. They're the most fertile of all cautions. They breed and breed. 57 gets loose here in the middle of the corner. I think he had Stravato to the outside. I don't know if there was contact, but Klinger nowhere to go. Ray Massey gets into the back of him. On board with Ray Massey. You see a check up here and just nowhere, you can't get low enough. You get ran over. Car behind you, I think it was Ferrata. You can't do anything there.
Ferrata getting mixed up in both of these cautions here in the late race.
It's actually not Ferrata. I think it was the 71 at Carlisle.
It's a name we haven't talked about a whole lot tonight, having a pretty quiet night, although up 12 positions from 24th to P12 for the 71. So, you know, it's a quiet night, but a successful night for Ryan Carlisle.
That one's going to send him back a little bit with that checkup. Maybe some damage on the front end of the 71. But this is going to put us somewhere around that 20 to go mark when we go back green. And Jeff Wright, I think this is deja vu. A little bit of the hit the rewind. I don't know, Logan, if you're old enough to remember VCR tapes, but sometimes you go to a video store and somebody didn't rewind it all the way, and you would replay that video in the middle. They usually charge you a fee for not doing that, but occasionally they would slip through, and I think that's what we're seeing right here. I'm showing my age.
Well, you know, I'm not that young, Bradley. I do recall VCRs. However, you know, I grew up in the age of the DVDs coming from Netflix and stuff, so that's a little bit more on my forte, but don't worry, buddy. I've got quite the collection of VCRs, or tapes, rather.
Could you imagine VCR tapes in the mail? It was a thing.
It was a thing. It's a thing that I'm glad that we're past, however. I will say that.
The quality of that video. The quality of this video here live on VSPEED. We'd like to watch every single race all the way to the end of the season for Saturday Night Racing League. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can catch Bradley Cooper, and we have Logan Threlkeld on other shows. He's filling in here tonight for Connor Horn. We have back-to-back racing with the Challenger Series and the Cup Series live here on VSPEED every Saturday night, 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, our camera packs provided by Dougie Beard. He's done a phenomenal job of getting us up and going and keeping this thing looking good. It's a fresh start to the next step here at VSPEED. Just brings another ingredient to the equation and the recipe. Love what we got going on here, and I'm excited for what's coming up next Thursday, and VRX going back live with the World Cup. James Lehman asking us to join his league. Max Velocity Racing. A lot going on here. Goat Locker, Racing Revolution, and a green flag on lap 152. Just over 20 to go with Jeff Wright, Bailey Turner on the front row.
Jeff Wright able to catch the front row out of line here. Looks like the 05 of James Lehman.
Loose, wheel spin.
A little bit of a shuffle.
He's
there.
Loose again out of two. Almost contact with three wide. Ferrata on the outside for fifth.
AJ Stravato holds on to the middle, right back down to the bottom lane in 3 and 4. Here comes a 73 of Joseph McWhorter, back up into the top 10, looking to make moves late in the race.
He's going to put himself in a better situation. Not sure what it was that put him behind the 8 ball, back to 24th position at one point in this race. Ferrata, Stravato on the outside, 3 wide again through 3.
Apiak just got turned out of number 2 there, down to the bottom of the track. Keep it green here in Iowa. The track temperatures come down another
we went
4
4
degrees,
wide.
just 104 or 108 rather on the track surface right now, Brad.
We were looking 4 wide through 1 and 2. I think Apiak got loose on his own. Maybe the 57 helped him out after the fact. But when you're almost 4 wide at Iowa, you're going to have some panic in that wheel.
Not a seesaw effect, you would imagine, from a couple of the drivers just trying to hold on to that line as best as possible. Joseph McWhorter able to get around AJ Stravato for the top 5 position. Now he's got Angelo Cronus, Joshua Banks, Bailey Turner, and Jeff Wright all lined up in his sights. Bit of a gap there, however, 0.4 of a second between Ronis and McCord.
McWhorter's still got a lot of work to do, but he has time to do it if he can get up there. Based off his telemetry and his laps when he was leading this race, he has the speed to get up to Jeff Wright. We're talking about not easy passes, especially in this top 5. And it doesn't help that AJ Stravado keeps peeking to the inside through 1 and 2.
You've got a Nathan Ferrata that's still running that top line. He closes that gap up to the back bumper of Stravado. Just about every time we come down into corner entry. Now he's under fire from the inside line. Hunter Sr. in the 0-2 took a peek through 3 and 4. Couldn't make it stick enough to challenge down the front stretch. But he's right there on the inside of a Nathan Ferrata each time we come into the corner.
McWhorter up high. Top 10 right on top of each other from 5th on back. 0-2, Senior. Looking for another top 10 finish. Watching all these juicy spider cars, what a contrast we had from last week in Kentucky. I think every single one of them was involved in something. But you go deep in this field, the 44, the 6, the 05, the 14, it is 4 wide again off of 4.
It is a hornet's nest back here just outside of the top 10. A lot of jockeying for position right now. The 05 of Lehman trying to hold on to the top lane. Seth Hatchell puts his nose into the equation, gets him loose. The 05 goes around after contact with the 6 of Adams.
And another late race caution with 15 laps to go. And Jeff Wright is starting to reconsider. Does he have it locked up? Lehman, who was, again, my pick here tonight, I'm going to reestablish that. He had bad speed, bad fast, and another night of just not being able to seal the deal.
I have to wonder if any of these drivers will be bold enough to bring it back down pit lane, get some fresh tires. We have completed 18 laps since these drivers brought it down. You'd have to assume that Lehman would certainly bring it in. He'll have damage plus the outside, or rather the inside tires that have not worked out on the 2-tire call. A little bit of a fake there from Bailey Turner, Angelo Ronis, Joseph McWhorter, Nathan Ferrata, the 0-2 of Hunter Sr. Doesn't look like anybody's going to bring it down until we get back to the 6 of Josh Adams. And Elliott Butler follows suit. Casey Lakatos, Brian Chambliss, Bryce Shoemaker, Christopher Hodges, Matt Shinosky, Eddie Trejo, Brandon Wallace, James Lehman, Seth Hatchell brings it down as well. I like that call from the 8 here.
Well, he got involved in that, and he also had Donnie Kite involved, the 16, just able to dodge that. I would have taken on board with Elliott Butler. He had a car fall into his lap. Watch this, Logan. Several cars fell into his lap.
Man, just talk about a bad luck stake there.
And it's not over for the lead either. Bailey Turner almost got Jeff Wright on a restart. Most of the top 10 staying out. Actually, all of the top 10 staying out. Got to go all the way back to 14th with Kenny Kibbe. This is going to be a reset on the field. Everything you did for the last 150 laps means nothing. It's back to qualifying mindset. What you did to put yourself in position to start this race is how you're going to drive this car for the next 10 laps.
Bad luck turns worse for the 23 of Ray Massey, picking up a black flag on pit road entry, speeding down the lane. It's not how you want that one to go. He is now stuck in the box for an additional 45 seconds, I believe. for the 23 team. Back underway, however.
And we're doubling back up. The initial start of this race, you had a lot of championship contenders outside of the top 5 to start it out. Race their way up here. 9 positions gained for Jeff Wright, 18 rather for Bailey Turner. You have Joshua Banks, 3 positions gained. And Nathan Ferrata, 12 spots, 13 spots. He's been back and forth up to 8th now. It just didn't look like a race that we would see a repeat winner, Logan, starting this thing off. But now we're seeing repeat deja vu, 24-48, side by side for another restart, closing laps, and somehow Joshua Banks finding his way to possibly get another podium finish. Green flag back underway. 11 to go.
Jeff Wright gets a great jump. Advantage down into turn 1. Now you mentioned the top 2 really being top contenders for a race win, but I see 6 drivers up here in the top 10 that are always a threat for a race win, no matter where you're at. Stravato comes out of turn number 4 on the inside of Joseph McWhorter, makes slight contact with the 73, but keeps it straight. Angelo Coronis with a lot of speed around the top side.
That was a rocket.
Bailey Turner.
Coming out of turn 2, Angelo Coronis might have a chance to win this race. He's going to clear Bailey Turner. Can he get to Jeff Wright with 8 to go?
Side-by-side battle between Stravato and McWhorter will not go away. Right behind them, it's Hunter Sr. and Nathan Ferrata. 2 of our biggest movers up here in the top 10. Trying to duke it out and see who will have the most claimed positions by the end of this one. Joshua Banks gets to the inside of Bailey Turner, and 3 and 4 comes out just ahead at the stripe. Holding down that inside line, the 35. Looking to take a podium away from the 24.
We're watching back there with 3 wide racings. Chuck Sweeting, top 10 right now. He has a 57, the 98 behind him. He's got to defend this spot, but great race so far for Chuck Sweeting in the closing laps.
3 wide just behind him. Casey Licata's shot to the inside of Kenny Kibbe.
Kibbe's loose.
Brewer. Oh, man.
Holding it
Always
sideways.
Get beat up in the last 10 laps, Bradley.
Got to push this car to its limits. Sideways, 54.
Stacked up the line.
And another late caution. We were approaching 5 to go. We're going to do it again with Joshua Banks on the inside or outside of Jeff Wright. 54, a Shoemaker sideways to bring this one out. We knew it was going to happen back here, Logan. It couldn't sustain itself. There's too much going on.
It was a boiling pot, and they forgot to put the wooden spoon on top before it boiled over. Man, I think this will bring us right to a green-white checkered attempt as well.
Gonna be really close. We have 3 of those. But watch back here with Kibbe. He was already loose off of turn 2. 14 car pushes up the racetrack a little bit here. No, he gets help from the 54. It goes into the 16. Elliott Butler, I think, has been a part of every caution here tonight. But Kibbe ends up straightening the car back out. It's Bryce Shoemaker that gets the worst into that, and 54, minimal damage, but he's going to fall back to 27th position after that.
It was looking so good up until that initial contact from the 54 and the 14. Kenny Kibbe had enough room to move up the racetrack, but just a little bit blindsided there from Shoemaker. No fault of their own by any means. That's just good, hard racing here at Iowa. say very likely Jeff Wright will elect for that bottom line. He's been getting great restarts off of the bottom. That'll put Joshua Banks up on the top side of the track. Angelo Coronas, Bailey Turner in row 2, AJ Stravato, Joseph McWhorter in row 3. Josh Adams, Nathan Ferrata, Hunter Sr., Chuck Sweeting rounding out our top 10 here in the late runnings of this race. We should be doubling back up this time by...
We'll gonna pull up in the chat. Round. You asked the question earlier. Now we're going to take a poll. Let's see if anybody's watching. They're watching. Drop those picks right now. %0 for Joshua Banks. Come on.
No hope for the 35.
Come on, guys.
Man, he's in a great spot, too. He just has to really nail this restart timing. Try to keep it door to door with Jeff Wright, but I'm with some of these people that are voting for Angelo Coronas and Bailey Turner. You know, row 2, that's a great spot to be on a restart, especially if you end up being the driver behind the control car.
Well, it's official. We're going into overtime. Last couple races have ended under regulation, but that's not going to be enough for 7/8 of a mile. These drivers trying to round that number up to a full mile per lap. And we will extend this race 2 laps. Green, white, checkered attempt number 1. When we take the green flag, we will get 1 or 2 to go. Come back around. If the leader can reach the white flag before any incident, the race will be official. If a caution were to fly before the drivers reach that start-finish line, we'll rack them back up for another attempt. We have 3 of those here tonight. If we exceed those 3, the race will be official under yellow. And Jeff Wright going to try to defend every single one of these restarts. Wright, Banks, Turner, Hronis, McWhorter. Green flag back underway. Overtime at Iowa. The 48 car gets out to a decent jump. He's going to hold off the 35. Can we get out of turn 4 to the white flag?
3 wide behind with Dakota Floyd stuck in the middle. Casey Wakatas, Philip Brewer on the top. Banks gets to the inside through 3 and 4, but there's the drive off the corner. White flag in the air for Jeff Wright. One more time around for the 48 to take
Parada around.
Iowa.
Parada, the 44. Big crash into 1 and 2. One last stab at the lead for the 35 car. He's got a throttle off the corner, but Jeff Wright is wise to it. He'll hold it on the outside, and Jeff Wright will win week number 9 at Iowa. 4th win of the season.
Turner did a great job to hold on to that P3 under fire from Angelo Coronas and AJ Stravato both. Stravato and Coronas separated by just 1/100th of a second.
And Jeff Wright has to be feeling good about adding that 4th win. But with that points gap coming into tonight being around 50 points, it's going to be minimal. We won't know until the reset what Jeff Wright has in store for us when we go postseason. That's not until November. We still have 3 regular season races left to go. And Jeff Wright just added another one to the trophy case. Post-race interviews with your top 3 and those final race results when we come back for the Saturday Night Racing League presented by M&J Distributors. Don't go anywhere. More coverage on VSPEED continues after this.
JS Racing. We're in the game.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Drivers, start your printers.
To keep pace with the ever-changing landscape of marketing and advertising, let Clark Print Shop help you spot the trends and keep you in front of the pack with all your color printing needs. From business cards to invitations, menus to mugs, we can print anything you need on paper or your choice of over 3,000 promotional items. Visit www.clarkprintshop.com to browse our online catalog and place your order today, or call us at 276-889-3426. For a limited time, use the code iRacing for 23% off your first purchase. The staff at Clark Print Shop looks forward to handling all your color printing needs.
Walking and Rolling Costumes started when my son Reese was born with cancer.
So when I was 3 years old, I got my first wheelchair.
And he wanted to be Wall-E for Halloween that year. And so I knew you couldn't buy a costume to go on a wheelchair at that time, so I knew I had to build one.
My dad ended up building a Wall-E costume out of a Dell computer box.
When we were all finished, he loved it. We took pictures of it and shared it on social media. So many people started sharing it that we started getting requests from people we didn't know.
In 2015, we decided to build them for other kids because people were asking, hey, can you build them for my kid?
So we started the nonprofit organization, Walking and Rolling Costumes, and we build costumes for kids all over the nation, free of charge to the families.
JS Racing. We're in
Back here live from Iowa Speedway, where Saturday Night Racing League and M&J Distributors have concluded their 176 laps. We extended it by one with a late race caution, bringing another late race caution to another late race caution, putting us into overtime. It was Jeff Wright finding his way to victory lane for another time this season. Joshua Banks, Bailey Turner, deja vu. The top three previous season champions with season 1, 2, and 4 on that, actually 3 and 4. One of those champions being Joseph McWhorter back in 6th position. Final race results up on your screen. Race recap on the top with 5 cautions, 8 lead changes. There's your top 3. We'll get a word with him in just a moment. Angelo Horonis. And you know what? I want to say that poll was pretty accurate. We had 60% to finish it out there with Jeff Wright. So there you go. You guys were right. But I think Joshua Banks deserves a medal. He keeps finding a way back to the podium. AJ Stravado for 5th position. Joseph McWhorter led a lot of laps in the first third of this race. He'll finish in 6th. Josh Adams recovering the 6th car back to a top 10. Hunter Sr., Juicy Spider back-to-back in the 7th and 8th position. Chuck Sweeting putting it all together, and Dakota Floyd starting in 6th. He'll round out your top 10.
Just behind our top 10 is the 98 of J.R. Shepard, taking home 11th, followed up by the 50 of Casey Laconis. Elliott Butler mixed up in quite a bit of action tonight in the 16 machine, takes home P13 with the 31 of Matt Shanowski right behind in 14. The 15 of Christopher Hodges, well, he finishes 15th, so that's pretty well suiting their number 2 number, up quite a bit of positions for that finishing spot. Ryan Carwile, quiet night for him, ends up in 16th for the 71 team. Kenny Gibby, late race fault, will send him back to 17th, with Brian Chambliss in the 9 holding down 18th. And Nathan Ferrata, a top runner pretty well all night long. He was so close to coming home with a podium spot. Falls back to P19 with James Lehman in the same boat, rounding out the top 20.
Yeah, tough break there for the 05 of James Lehman, my pick here tonight. Your pick did much better, but it's just an unfortunate set of circumstances. Bryce Shoemaker will finish in 21st position with Eddie Trejo. All these cars starting outside the top 10 here tonight. Ben Lachter will start or finish out in 23rd after starting in 32nd. Still an improvement of 9 positions. Not a terrible day. Nick Hapiak finishing in 24th. Donnie Kite. So this is the other end of the Juicy Spider drivers that end up outside of this top 20. Yeah, Brandon Wallace in 26th. He has a win here in Saturday Night Racing League, by the way. Philip Brewer, 27th. Stephen Davis will finish 28th. Ray Massey, heavy damage there in the closing laps, 29th for him. Seth Hatchell showed a lot of promise starting on that front row. He'll finish in 30th. And with two more cars to talk about, with Chad Klinger, driver that has a win this season, needs to have 3 good races to finish out the regular season. And Jonathan Smith, 61. Well, it says 61. It's 90 laps down to finish out your field. But finally, time to take you trackside, and the first driver we're going to bring up into the broadcast booth, it's going to be Jeff Wright in the number 48. Jeff Wright, finally.
You can.
Finally. Well, Jeff, I'm sorry if I interrupted you there, but you go from Challenger Series broadcast booth to Cup Series broadcast booth. It's just picking up where you left off. You were talking about how you were going to beat Bailey Turner and Joseph McWhorter, and you did it.
Yeah, it all worked out. We didn't get too good of a qualifying effort. I mean, 10th isn't too bad, but usually I'm pretty confident when we come to Iowa that I can qualify well and, if not get the pole, still get like a top 5 starting spot. And especially as bad as, the dirty air is in this car, at least over the course of the season, it's so hard to pass. So I think AJ said it in the race. I think my pit crew helped a lot tonight. We got probably 3 or 4 spots on that first caution, put us on the front row, and really only had to pass 1 car tonight to get the lead. And then thankfully we're able to hang on there through those last few cautions and last few restarts.
Well, from the spectator's point of view, it was tough to pass, but at the same time, the way this race started out, we have a lot of drivers that are top 10 in points that weren't in the top 10 at all in this race to start it out. You gained 9 positions hanging on to the edge of that top 10, but you look at guys like Bailey Turner, Angela Horonis, and a few others that just didn't start this race out on a good note. And then suddenly you all find your way back to the podium. How do you guys keep doing it?
Well, first off, talking about the guys who are leading points like Bailey and seeing him qualify 20th, I thought that was a good opportunity for us to maybe get some points. And then he, finishes top 3 still, despite all that. So it's going to be tough to pass him in the standings. He's got a pretty good gap already. And just winning races is, huge for us. We get 3 bonus points for each win. So I feel like that's going to help us. That's going to help us for our playoffs, at least to start, because I think Bailey's probably going to get those 10 bonus points locked up. I think he's probably going to win the regular season. It's just he's got such a big gap, and I think he's only finished outside the top 10 once this season. So it's hard to make up points on a guy like that. So, but yeah, we'll take the win. I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to pass the cars to do it tonight, but this is a really fun track, and we got some really good green flag runs and a pit stop, and I felt pretty comfortable there. And then Joshua Banks restarting to your inside never is a good feeling. He's really good at timing restarts, and thankfully we were just able to get a good enough jump on him, and we're able to hold him off and get the W.
Congratulations on another win this season, Jeff. This puts you in a great situation for that reset in the points with 4 wins, and you've got 3 races left in the regular season. As we move on to Darlington, I know that's another track that you like, and what's it going to take to seal the deal and maybe pass Bailey Turner before the end?
Yeah, I think we're going to have Bailey have some problems, get caught up in a wreck these next few weeks, having only 3 races left. I think the point gap is still somewhere around 50. So well over a race full of points. So it's going to be tough to get that, but we can still try to go out there and get some wins. With each of those being 3 points, that means we still got 9 bonus points up for grabs over these next 3 weeks. So we'll do what we can to try to go out and get another one. Darlington should be a fun racetrack. Only problem is I know 24 is usually pretty good there, as well as some other guys. So it's not gonna be easy by any means, but every single bonus point counts as we get ready for the postseason.
Jeff Wright, victorious here at Iowa. Anybody you want to shout out in victory lane?
Yeah, just thanks to you guys, VSPEED, best broadcast booth in the business, and all of our sponsors of this series. Couldn't do it without them. M&J Distributors, Clark Print Shop, 29 Graphics, Walk and Roll Costumes, FireStorm Racing, Juicy Spider Gaming. We appreciate all the financial support that they give us so that we can continue to do this each and every Saturday night.
Jeff Wright, go celebrate. I'm sure we'll see you in the post race and hang out in the Discord. Good to hear from you again, and congratulations on that 4th win.
All right, thanks, guys.
There he is, Jeff Wright. 68 laps led, gained 9 spots, and we moved down pit road where Logan Santa Threlkel has caught up with our Banksy the iRacer. I think we're using surnames for our streamer, whatever you want to call it. Santa, take it away.
Yeah, we'll just take it off from that one there. Joshua Banks, long time no see, my friend, but yet you find yourself up here on the podium. Now, you had kind of a rocky start, taking a 7th place starting spot on the grid. You fell back to the back half a little bit earlier than expected, but then all of a sudden, the tides changed, and you started working your way up the field, picking off 1 position, 2 positions, and then finally up into the realm of the top 3. And I just have to ask, what was the driver change that you made that got you to start working forward rather than backwards?
It's more of the tire more than anything. I felt like we had to save it really hard early in the run I wouldn't say super hard saving, but it was just enough to make sure we had the right front still on the car to rotate entry. So, and plus people were running the top, and early on the bottom was just not the fast lane at all. The top was where you wanted to be. So anytime somebody got to the top, I couldn't do anything with. So it just felt like a freight train early on. But then tires started kicking in. We started picking them back off and started slowly working the way up through the field and figuring things out, and made it up to the top 5, and there we are. But it was tough, man. Not gonna lie, it was not easy wanting to save tires, but also made ground. That is for sure. That was probably the discipline part. Bailey said in our group here was not. It was good, but it wasn't the best. I don't think it could have been a little bit better. I think, but either way, here we are.
Well, talking about discipline, it goes hand in hand with consistency, and the M&J Distributors 35 team has to be happy with the efforts so far this season. You came into this race P3 in points. You're a little bit further behind with Bailey Turner, just leaps and bounds ahead in the point standings coming into the last 3 races. But does this swing the momentum more in your corner once we hit that restart and kind of start things off on a fresh pad?
I hope. We had a little bit of a rocky start for sure in the season with some races and, just getting tangled up in a couple things or just not having a good run, making mistakes. So trying to capitalize on these races now to where we don't make mistakes and, keep the car up front, make sure we keep tires underneath us to give us the opportunity to run up front and challenge for the win. I wish we could be up here most of the race instead of being 10th or so most of it and then be here at the end, because it's more fun leading than it is trying to chase somebody. So, but that seems to be the moral of the story for me this season, just be chasing everybody. And hopefully we can turn that around and maybe get a win or 2 out of this.
Well, coming from somebody that can't even be fast enough to really chase you guys, it's P2 finish is nothing to scoff at. Now, this question, you're no stranger to it, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Joshua Banks, P2 finish here at Iowa. Who do you have to say thanks to?
I feel like a broken record today because I did this last week, but everybody at the admins, there I go, I can't talk, but the admins for what they do with the league, what you guys do with the booth every week, it's entertaining to watch, and glad we can put on a show with the admins putting the work in and getting the guys to, get good racing. Granted, we did have a few cautions at the end, but it's part of it. But thanks to the admins for what they do, and all of our sponsors, M&J Distributors, and everybody, Clark's Print Shop, Rock and Roll Customs. I'm getting better at it. So I'm from 1 now to 3. So I'm getting better at the sponsors. So there we go. So thanks everybody for hopping on board for the season. And we'll just keep this train rolling, try to keep these finishes going. Eventually, I hope we get a victory out of one of these. Came close tonight, but, didn't want to sacrifice Jeff's race for my win, because we're not racing like that here. So just take a seat, P2, move on to next week.
Modest and humble. Thanks for your time, Joshua Banks. We'll see you next week when we take it to Darlington.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it.
That'll do it for our second place interview. Bradley Cooper, I think you've moseyed on down pit road here, and you've caught up with third place finisher and current points leader, Bailey Turner.
Yes, I have. And Bailey, it's again back to, we keep finding you guys in the podium finishes at the end of these races. You started all the way back in 20th. What happened in qualifying, and how did you race your way through this field?
Yeah, just a dumb move on corner exit of turn 2 and just barely clipped the right rear on the wall. And knew I'd kind of set myself up for failure from the beginning. But, shout out to the admins for making a set that, you can at least pass. Still wore out the right front quite a bit, but you can still make some good moves on the long run, and was just patient. Felt like, if we were patient and we actually got some long runs this race, I felt like that was our strength. And yeah, just wish we had a little more fire off speed. I think there at the end, I think that was the one weakness we had tonight. And if we did have good qualifying position tonight, maybe would have been ahead of Jeff, later in the race and had control of the race. But I mean, that just shows that where you start matters just as much as everything else in the race. So like you said, glad we got the points lead, and yeah, just trying to build that buffer and try to get back in victory lane here soon.
Well, and I think I have a little bit of a fanboy up in the broadcast from week to week, but Santa compared to Connor, the contrast talking about Bailey Turner, he's been out for a little while. He hasn't quite grasped that you've been the points leader now for about 8 months. So how does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think about if you put it that way. 8 months long of like you said, it's just been consistency. I've really tried to. I don't get on iRacing as much, but when I'm on here, I really try to focus on just racecraft and being as consistent as possible. And felt like we had a little advantage in the next gen car. This car, not quite as much, but we started the season pretty hot with the win, and I was talking to Jeff there a second ago. We're averaging a 5.2 finish, and the only reason it's even that low is getting wrecked out at Dover a couple weeks ago. So, getting a little greedy on my end. I really want to get back in victory lane and talk to you guys from that position. But you got Jeff Wright, who I was talking to the guys before the race. He's so good in these cars, and realistically, I think, in my opinion, I think Iowa is one of his best racetracks as far as his overall speed, long run, short run, managing a race, knowing how to defend, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to have quite the battle on our hands, especially once playoff time rolls around here in a few weeks. So honestly, just really looking forward to getting back to a short track. I think in 2 weeks or so. I think we got Martinsville coming up in a few weeks. So the rest of the schedule. Darlington, I've never been a big fan of. Chicago is always a great race, especially with high horsepower and low downforce. So a couple good races coming up, and looking forward to finishing the regular season strong.
Bailey, from 20th, 8 laps led, you finish in 3rd. A lot of people backing you up, and a lot of people in the Discord that help support you. Go ahead and shout those folks out for one more time.
Yeah, obviously all the teammates over there at Sad Boys. It's been fun to have the addition of Josh Banks. I think this is the best we've ever raced together. So that's been real fun. And having Josh and AJ and Angelo, all of us, we as a team finished all in the top 5 tonight. So really fun to have the consistency and all of us kind of up there battling for position. And obviously all the admins, you guys up in the booth. Can't wait to go back and check this out later, and probably get mad at myself for making a few restart mistakes, but thanks to you guys and obviously all the league sponsors. So appreciate everybody's work going into this, and it's fun coming out here every Saturday.
Bailey Turner, third place finish, another podium stringing together and keeping that points lead for about 8 months now. We'll see you next week when we move on to Darlington.
Thanks.
So the 24 car finds a way back to the podium again. So does Joshua Banks and Jeff Wright getting the victory. Congratulations to the 48, but the late race cautions flipping the strategy here, Santa. And I know that this race is probably going to have a little bit of an asterisk next to it. But Iowa, notorious for late race cautions. This league on top of that, notorious for it. You mix it up, you find a similar name back in victory lane.
Yeah, well, it's tried and true. That's pretty well how the cards will fall 9 times out of 10, but couldn't ask for a better race to be back in here in the booth with you, Bradley. Only the 5 cautions on the night, and some great action throughout the entire field, front to back. There were passes made all over tonight. Some risky moves that paid off, some risky moves that didn't pay off, and some extremely fast race cars out here in the cornfields of Iowa. Happy to be back here.
Well, in about a week's time, exactly a week's time, we're going to go racing for our third to last race of the regular season. It's going to be Darlington Raceway. Opened back in 1950. It has many different names. The egg-shaped oval, the track too tough to tame, the Lady in Black. But nonetheless, it's one of the most unique venues that the Saturday Night Racing League Cup Series will go racing on. You can catch that here at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, and it's on to next week for the Challenger Series as well. And for some reason, I'm drawing a blank, Santa. But again, you can catch that at 7:45 p.m. Eastern when we bring both races. There it is. North Wilkesboro. A very short track at 7:45 p.m. October 25th here on VSPEED. Logan, that's going to do it for us here. Appreciate you filling in for Connor Horn and coming up into the broadcast booth. If you guys enjoyed this broadcast, you can hit that subscribe button. You'll never miss a single race as we have flag-to-flag coverage all season long. For Dougie Beard, providing the camera packs, my co-commentator filling in tonight, Logan Santa Threlkeld, Adam Baker, Eddie Smith, and Morgan Cook. This is Bradley Cooper saying so long from Iowa Speedway. We'll see you in 7 days for the Challenger Series and Cup Series to conclude and get closer to that championship postseason. Stay tracking, everybody.